The very hot weather warning is issued earlier today, the latest date of the year ever for such a warning. Chief Executive John Lee explains the merits of opening the third medical school in the city. And the Israeli leader is reportedly unharmed after his home is attacked by drones. Good evening and welcome to TVB News. The observatory today issued the latest calendar year very hot weather warning in recorded history. This after the observatory recorded a temperature of 33.7 degrees Celsius this afternoon. Timothy Lee tells us more.
It is more than halfway through October, but the sweltering heat of summer was still across Hong Kong today. Many areas across the city experienced temperatures above 33 degrees, with the highest recorded at the Wetland Park at 36.2 degrees, while Happy Valley saw temperatures of 35.3 degrees.
It's October, it's definitely too hot. The sun is too bright for football. We need a little bit more wind, and we used to get a more colder weather in October, didn't we? At least some breeze.
But others found the weather just fine.
It's a nice day, and there is this nice market here. It is not as humid. It's quite pleasant, actually.
Here in Happy Valley, the weather remains hot and humid with intense sunshine throughout the afternoon. Despite the mercury climbing to above 33 degrees Celsius, some local residents said the temperature is still acceptable, with many heading out for drinks and sports.
In Chinatown, which recorded temperatures above 34 degrees, some residents jogging around the promenade said they felt like they were exercising inside a sauna. Pets were not exempt from the effects of the sweltering temperature either. This as the observatory recorded the temperature of 33.7 degrees earlier today, while issuing the very hot weather warning. It is the latest time of the year that such a warning has been issued since records began in 1884, breaking the record set in 1939 by 3 days. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The government estimates that Hong Kong will have a supply of about 3,000 hectares of developable land over the 10 years after 2025. The projection is in line with targets set out in the city's spatial development blueprint, Hong Kong 2030+. Secretary for Development Bernadette Lin said in this financial year there was a supply of 180 hectares of developable land from rezoning schemes, including the Tung Chung New Town and the Northern Metropolis. The Kao Yi Chau Artificial Island is expected to provide about 300 hectares of land in a decade after 2025. The government will submit an environmental impact assessment report by the end of the year, with an aim to begin reclamation works there within the current government term. Chief Executive John Lee continues to explain his policies to the media today, following his third policy address on Wednesday. He said Hong Kong has the capacity to build a third medical school with hopes of speeding up the training of doctors. He also talked about the city's edge in developing the Study in Hong Kong brand. Among the main health-related proposals in Chief Executive John Lee's third policy address is the establishment of Hong Kong's third medical school. Lee said the move can help boost the proportion of doctors in Hong Kong with a higher intake of medical students while bringing in overseas doctors.
2.1，我哋真係希望提升佢，起碼都去到。
Lee said there are around 2 doctors for every 1,000 citizens. He hopes the ratio can be raised to 2.5 or more, around the average of many developed countries such as Singapore, Japan, and the U.S. He said it now takes 6 years of studies and 1 year of internship in an approved hospital before medical students can become registered doctors. Lee questioned if the time frame can be shortened, though noting the decision will ultimately be made by experts. The government also set sights on building a Study in Hong Kong brand. Lee said in recent years, many Belt and Road countries are interested in Hong Kong's higher education, thanks to the city's vibrant and multicultural environment.
經濟重心向東移，分散風險。
Lee added some Belt and Road countries have tried to seize opportunities in the East, and Hong Kong should also leverage its position well under one country, two systems. Lee also proposed the idea of a low-altitude economy. He said it is necessary to build a good vision to drive its development, including pilot projects and collaboration with Shenzhen in the future. The government will set up a committee on education, technology, and talents led by Chief Secretary for Administration Eric Chan. Chan explained today that 3 areas should be developed in a coordinated manner. The government said Hong Kong is projected to face a shortage of 180,000 workers in various industries over the next few years. 60,000 of the vacancies are technical talent, including those in repair and maintenance fields. With that, Chan said a pilot scheme will be launched targeting to import 10,000 such skilled workers who are preferably younger. He added more than 80,000 applications have been approved under the Top Talent Pass scheme. About 20% of them earn an income of over $2.5 million in half a year. Israel's government says a drone was launched towards the home of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the northern town of Caesarea. Neither the Prime Minister nor his wife were home, and there were no casualties, a statement said. The strike into Israel comes as its war with Lebanon's Hezbollah intensified in recent weeks. It also comes 2 days after the killing of Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Palestinian group Hamas in Gaza. In September, Yemen's Houthi rebels launched a ballistic missile towards Ben Gurion airport when Netanyahu's plane was landing. The missile was intercepted. Israel's military says some 55 projectiles were fired in 2 separate barrages at northern Israel from Lebanon. A man has been detained for throwing firebombs at Japan's ruling LDP party's Tokyo headquarters and trying to drive into the prime minister's residence. Multiple emergency services personnel were on the scene as investigations continue. A 49-year-old man was arrested after driving his vehicle into a nearby fence. No motive has been given, but online posts by him prior to the attack appeared to show disgust with the LDP. He's also attended protests against nuclear plants. North Korea has reportedly shipped 1,500 Special Forces troops to Russia's Far East for training and will likely be deployed for combat in the war in Ukraine. South Korea's NIS agency said it had been working with Ukrainian intelligence and used facial recognition artificial intelligence technology to identify North Korean officers. It said they were detected in the Donetsk region, supporting Russian forces firing North Korean-supplied missiles. Vessels belonging to Russia's Pacific Fleet were detected moving about 1,500 North Korean Special Forces troops to Vladivostok from October 8th to 13th. And still ahead, foreign ministers of China and Britain meet in Beijing. Donald Trump's mic goes silent while he is campaigning. And a new look at New York's Chinatown. Welcome back. Vice Premier Ding Xuexiang and Foreign Minister Wang Yi met with British Foreign Secretary David Lamy in Beijing. Lamy, who is on a 2-day visit to China, reached Shanghai today, where he discussed Sino-UK trade links with British business leaders there. On Saturday, Foreign Minister Wang Yi and British Foreign Secretary David Lamy held a meeting in Beijing. Wang Yi said China-UK relations have come a long way in history and now stand at a new starting point, adding that the British Labour government has put forward the proposal to develop a long-term, stable and strategically significant relationship with China. Welcoming that, Wang said China is willing to work with the UK with mutual understanding and respect and put China-UK relations to a new stage of stable development. They include areas on trade, green development, tech and education. Lamy meanwhile noted the mutual interests between the two countries and there should not be an iron curtain between them.
I'm struck by the scope for mutually beneficial cooperation on climate, on energy and nature, on science and tech, on trade and investment, on health and development. There are, of course, areas where we have different perspectives. I hope we can find space to discuss such areas constructively.
On Taiwan and Hong Kong issues, Wang said they are China's internal affairs and foreign countries should refrain from interfering. Lamy said Britain was able to have dialogue with the Chinese on areas where they disagree, which also include issues in Xinjiang. Lamy added that Britain's position on Taiwan has not changed under the Labour administration. Lamy said Hong Kong-related issues concern the mutual interests of the UK and China, and they are concerned about the city's national security situation. Lamy's two-day trip marked the first visit by a British cabinet minister to China since the Labour government came to power in July, and is also seen as London's move to reset relations with Beijing under the new administration. Donald Trump said in a media interview that he would impose heavy tariffs on Chinese goods if China went into Taiwan. He was also campaigning in Michigan, where there was a hiccup. David Garrett has the story.
The Great Lakes state that could have a great impact on the election. Kamala Harris says Donald Trump lacks stamina on the campaign trail.
What event did I cancel? I haven't canceled. She doesn't go to any events. She's a loser. She doesn't go to any events. She didn't even show up for the Catholics last night at the hotel. It was insulting. All they are is sound bites. So today I was at Fox and Friends at 7 in the morning. I then went to 2 different other appearances. I then made about 15 phone calls. I've gone 48 days now without arrest.
The 78-year-old addressed his problems with women voters, saying apart from abortion, they love me. Then Trump got cut off mid-flow in Michigan.
Because to me, the most beautiful word in the dictionary, it's not love, it's not respect.
Maybe it is silence. The word remained a mystery. We never found out because Trump's microphone stopped working. The Republican candidate kept on talking, not realising no one was able to hear him. Trump tried to get some assistance and the mic briefly worked again. But when Trump went to speak, it cut out again. Trump walked away from the podium, clearly frustrated. Meanwhile, in an interview released by the Wall Street Journal, Trump talked about China. Trump said he would impose additional tariffs of 150% to 200% on China if it were to go into Taiwan. When asked if he would use military force, Trump said it would not come to that because President Xi Jinping respects him. It was a full 20 minutes before sound was restored and Trump resumed.
Hello.
He finally could get back to talking policies and politics after a lengthy delay. Trump appreciated the crowd's warmth and patience.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you. So now what happens is I won't pay the bill for this stupid company that rented us this trip.
David Garrett, TVB News.
The Chinatown in New York once had a reputation for crime and poor hygiene, but it has become a tourist spot in Manhattan in recent years, while also attracting ethnic Chinese. Nanny Zhou has more.
Chinatown, a place with a hint of old-time Hong Kong. Tourists wandered down the streets to experience the Orient in Lower Manhattan.
Oh, I like just the general Oriental atmosphere.
The roast duck is hanging up. That's the most unique kind of thing.
It just looks like a little movie set.
Manhattan's Chinatown lies at the core of the Big Apple, and it is recognized as the oldest among the city's 3 Chinatowns. Over a century ago, Chinese immigrants, primarily Cantonese, populated this area. But in the past, Chinatown had serious hygiene problems. Organized crime run by gangsters was also rampant. About 10 years ago, the Chinatown Business Improvement District was initiated, kickstarting an inspiring makeover. Streets were cleaned up, the cityscape refined, and public security boosted. Diverse activities were also held to promote the Chinese culture. Mr. Chen, director of the project, wants to bring attention to Chinatown to better conserve the place and help it thrive. He mentioned the number of tour groups have risen threefold and said Chinatown is not exclusive to the Chinese people and it should open up to embrace a wider public interest. Born and raised here, Mr. Lo and Mr. Chen had grumbled about the cluttered environment, like many of their peers. But after visiting many other countries around the world, they started to miss the warmth and sense of security of their old neighborhood.
Order 101.
Hence, the duo returned 2 months ago to open a Cantonese-style tea house that infuses tradition and modernity.
The
homecoming was all about a sense of belonging, they said, adding that they expect to bring in young ideas to spur the revitalization of Chinatown. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Hong Kong has more than 600,000 non-ethnic Chinese residents, but many are not able to speak Chinese. While early childhood education is important in cultivating Chinese proficiency, an education group noted the persistent lack of affordable kindergartens with quality Chinese curriculum catering to the next generation of non-ethnic Chinese children growing up in Hong Kong. With a dip in birth rates, a total of 19 kindergartens shuttered in Hong Kong over the last school year. Going against the grain, some new kindergartens have opened this year, including this one in Yau Chi Mon district. Many pupils from non-ethnic Chinese families who want their children to have a better command of Chinese.
Because we have to live here, then he have to know all the things about here, no? In other school, they only focus on the English only, no? That's why I want to make all Chinese, English, to do better in future.
We celebrate like every Chinese culture, like tradition, like festival, like a dragon boat, or just recently we have also celebrated a Mid-Autumn Festival. Similarly, with the different ethnic backgrounds and different cultures, like other kids as well, like we also celebrate the Holi.
That's to bridge these culturally diverse students with the local curriculum and eventually better integrate them into Hong Kong society. The kindergarten also organizes a one-on-one volunteer guided reading program every week, inviting professionals such as investment bankers to beef up children's habits and interest in reading Chinese.
If we are not teaching them the language that we use in Hong Kong right now, which is still Cantonese, then how are they going to find a job for themselves, to support themselves as they grow up? And it should be the top priority, not to water down the Chinese curriculum.
For the past 10 years, more than $200 million of government funds has been earmarked each year to support Chinese language learning for non-Chinese speaking students. The expenditure has more than doubled in recent years to the tune of $500 million. Still, only around 100 non-ethnic Chinese students sit the Chinese Diploma of Secondary Education exam every year, around 8% of the non-ethnic Chinese DSE takers.
Despite the best efforts of the government, is that kids have got segregated out. There are ethnic minority kindergartens, ethnic minority primary schools, which has created this unevenness in language learning. The specific thing which the EDB should consider to do is increase and improve its accountability measures.
With that, the founder of the education group noted a need to introduce key performance indicators to gauge and boost the effectiveness of government measures. A special bus parade was jointly organized by the Transport Department and 3 bus companies today. The event is held to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. Several retired buses were featured in the event, with public transport vehicles from past decades starting their journey at Victoria Park. The parade passed through Hennessy Road and Longmore Road before reaching its destination at Central Pier. Residents could take photos with old bus models, including a Daimler bus from the 1970s. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.